All right, here we are, video number 3 about making an effective resume. Hopefully you've watched the first 2 videos, and at this point you should have already have made a pretty decent resume at least, or you're coming back because you've had a resume from the prior year, you want to make it better. So we're going to talk about rules, and we're going to talk about some of the pro tips. So what are the rules? What's assessed? Simple one, all required sections are present. You have all the sections you're supposed to have. The headings are accurate, meaning what is the heading represents what's underneath the heading. So everything's kind of nicely aligned. A little trickier. Reverse chronological order should be used with the most recent activities at the top, that's first, and the oldest stuff last. What is that going to look like? It's going to look like this. So under experience, the present is now. It's the most recent, and so therefore it's going to be at the top. And then you're going to have slightly older things. And the oldest thing started in September 2020 before anything else. This happened to also end before anything else, and therefore it's the oldest one. Okay, there's some specific sub rules here, but basically if you put the oldest thing last and the newest thing first, you're in good shape. And again, use that word present. Don't just put today's date or something like that until now. And then it obviously, if you were to quit that job in a few weeks, then you would just change that to the date and get rid of present. Okay, so that's quickly experience. Watch your tense. Present tense for current jobs and activities, past tense for past ones. Let's go back and look at that. Whoops. So present tense, babysit, prepare, plan. Those are present tense. Older jobs, past tense jobs that you're no longer doing, greeted, past tense, washed and dried, took, contributed. So the verbs align, the tense of the verbs align with the time that it happened. Speaking of that, spelling and capitalization count and grammar counts. So spelling and capitalization is just like do not mess up spelling and capitalization on a resume. That is just a easy reason for someone to say, oh, okay, I'm not going to hire that person. Use your tools to do spell check. Google's got some tools. Word's got some maybe better ones. Grammarly, etc. Grammar counts. If you're using a grammar editor, beware though, because you don't need to actually put in full sentences. In fact, it's better if you're trying to have a one-page resume to not have full sentences. Less words can be better here. And so don't use a grammar checker and then make everything a perfectly well-written full sentence. This is one of the few times in school that we ask you not necessarily to use full sentences. So you may have to break some grammatical rules there. What else? Speaking of one page, it needs to be one page, period. Do not go over one page. I know you want to write a lot about yourself. I'm glad that you love yourself. That's fantastic. But people spend it's like 20 something seconds per resume when they look at it. So think about a search and you're just flipping through resumes. It's literally 20 something seconds per resume. So one page, give them a sense of who you are so that they then pick up the phone, want to do an interview, whatever. The way to do that is to not have lengthy descriptions of each thing that you do. I'm going to come back to the one page thing a little bit later. If you're really can't handle it, we'll talk about it. Line spacing and font size should support the one page length. So don't put lots of empty spaces if you're trying to fit it in one page. It can tighten up a little bit. Your font size should be 10 to 12. Now, old guys like me, 11 may be a sweet spot. Or, I think 11 works for me. 10 can get a little bit small for my eyes to read, although I got glasses. So, start with the largest one. And if you're running out of space, go down to 11, then make it 10 if you need to. You can start with nice big margins. If you're a ninth grader, you don't have that much on your resume. Start with size 12 font and 1.25 inch margins. That's a great place to start. By a senior year, you might be at 10 font and 0.5 margins because you just need more real estate to operate with. Next one, formatting should be consistent throughout. So header here is green, or section header is green, bold, bold. Same font throughout. Notice here that experience the place that the employer, I guess, where the person worked, the location where they worked, and then are all in bold. Then you have italicized name of the occupation or the job, and then you can see it's all caps, slightly grayed, and that's slightly grayed out. All caps, slightly grayed out for the time. This makes for a nice, clean look. So whatever you do, you want to make it look so the formatting is nice and consistent. A break in formatting, the eyeball catches it super quickly. Not good. It's a professional thing, so you want to save it as a PDF in the end. I mean, you're going to keep your Google Docs copy or Word, Microsoft Word. By the way, Microsoft Word is totally fine on this. You can really format the heck out of it. So go for that if you want. But save it as a PDF at the end before you upload it or distribute it, because that locks the formatting in so that if someone else's screen or computer might make it look a little wonky. Use your results from Use Science. You took the time to answer all those questions, so use your results from Use Science, please. Sam, you have some serious talent and awesome career opportunities. So when Sam filled this out, Sam would find out about his or her aptitudes, best fit careers, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, Sam, go into these things and find out more about yourself. So for example, Sam is a sequential learner and has some characteristics written here. Some key terms I could describe Sam. Methodical, logical, natural planner, solution-oriented, etc. If some of these, you see some of these on yours and they kind of like, yeah, that describes me, then use those terms. They could be way more interesting than some other terms. Okay, pro tip time. Speaking of terms that are interesting, use strong action verbs. Use vivid verbs. So your English teachers have probably been telling you this for years. Use vivid verbs. Don't just say that you did something. In this case here, don't say I was responsible for serving customers. Also, just be direct, be active. Served customers. Now, served isn't the most interesting word, but it's a little bit better than writing 4 words here. Just cut right to it. Make it active. I serve customers. And you can actually leave out the I because we know who you are. Did you engineer something? Did you innovate something? Did you initiate something? Etc. Choose a different template carefully. We really want you to use the template that Google Docs has hopefully already made you use. Please stick with that template. If it's working for you, go for it. There's a list on that info page of a couple other templates. I am pretty conservative on this because I think it's really easy to grab a template that looks really good and it comes out really badly. I think some of the templates that have lots of colors, certainly ones with like huge font across the top or big splash, ones with your picture on it, kind of depends on what you're trying to convey. So I would just say be careful. Have a good like standard simple one. If you want to go for something that's a little more interesting, you can, but I would save that for like if you're applying for a specific job and you know your audience, maybe. For now, stick with a simple one. And also stick with one that works for a high school student. You're not a professional yet. Most of you, some of you might be, I don't know. But stick with one that you can actually fill out. So one that has a lot of stuff that leans on professionalism. You're going to leave a lot of blanks or have to modify it a lot, and that's not going to make a lot of sense. So these are a couple that I've listed. Feel free to have some. The main difference is some of these have kind of 2 columns. It also gets trickier to format. I will let you know. But for this one has awards. If you don't have any awards, you probably don't want to use this format, or you'd have to modify the heck out of it. So something to think about, but choose carefully. All right, if that 1-page limit is getting you down, here's an idea. Just have one unpublished resume that has everything you want in it. It can be as many pages as you want. It's kind of like the catch-all resume. And then from there, when it's time to give your resume to someone, you copy it and then just strip out all the stuff that you don't need and make it into a 1-pager. So you leave your original big boy at 3 pages, 4 pages, and then just shrink it down in a copy to just the audience that you want. When I say that the audience or specific situation, the classic thing for you as a high school student is you might be really strong in academic, really strong in employment, or really strong in community service, or maybe in 2 of those 3 or something like that. So you can kind of craft your resume. If you were applying for a specific job that had specific skills needed, you would beef up this section. They may not care so much about community service. So maybe you'd have a couple of community service highlights, but leave off others or leave off descriptions. If you're applying for an academic award, then boost up the academic section, but leave other stuff, and that may be totally valid, but leave it in the other resume, in the catch-all resume for now, and you can use it for another purpose. So that's a great way, especially going forward. You're going to be adding more and more experiences in life. In high school, you're going to start leaving your middle school experiences off your resume pretty quickly. In college, you're going to start leaving some of your high school experiences off, etc. And that's okay. But that's why you can have one monster resume that kind of in the background. So again, you are now in the update and revision section. If you have any questions, you can always go back to the other steps. Where's all this info again? At this link, or also go to that icon or the info page or the latest news page, I think it's called. And there's a document there with a link of how to do your resume, and that will take you to the document that rules them all. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Happy spring. Have a sparkling day.